Red Dead Redemption.
The old razzle dazzle.
All right, for ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between tuning in today, guess what next week is? Halloween. We are going to be starting off this podcast episode and finishing this podcast episode, because I realize we usually only talk about one subject, with Red Dead Redemption. Yes. How do you feel about the first Red Dead, Collin? And I want you to break down what you kind of know about it, because you're telling me you haven't played the second one yet. So I kind of want you to tackle Red Dead, and I just want to see what it meant to you, what stood out, what is the defining thing about Red Dead Redemption for you?
So as you had mentioned, I never got around to playing 2. I don't know if it was just because of the other games that were out around that time that I just had, my mind was elsewhere. I'll probably get around to it at some point. I'm sure if it ends up on the Game Pass or if it's discounted or something, I'll probably get around to it at some point. But yeah, Red Dead was one of those games. We played it on 360, so it was one of those iconic games on 360. It was interesting for the single player mode, which I played through it like maybe once or twice. Didn't really dive into a whole lot of the side stories. The biggest part for me was the multiplayer. Being able to jump into the game with like you guys, just ride around, do just the most dumbest shit. And I remember one of the dumbest things to do, but like me at whatever like middle school age I found the most comical was just lassoing a dude and fucking dragging him behind your horse for miles.
Yes, I fucking loved it.
Just seeing how long he would survive and just like throw him into rocks and just like, I don't know, just like finding those kind of like just comical moments in the game are just that's what's it for me. And kind of with how Red Dead ties directly into GTA as like the Wild West version of Grand Theft Auto. Any open world game, I'm always looking for what can I do with my character to make him do the dumbest thing possible.
I totally agree with you. I can recall several moments back to online play on the original Red Dead. One time, I don't know if any of the other posse or the gang was on, but I got into this altercation. There's a big brawl going on. I can't remember what town it was in, but there's this big brawl. Everyone was fist fighting. It was so cool. It was such a cool concept. Of course, I saw an opportunity to be an asshole. I threw on my horse and I started chucking dynamite and I blew up like 5 people. Because they're all just town center just like punching each other. I was like, you think you're a cowboy? Oh man, I kind of want to go back and play it. I haven't played Red Dead 2's online yet, but Red Dead 2's campaign, phenomenal. I'll jump into it a bit, but I feel like we should actually let me tackle Red Dead 2 a bit first because it's actually a prequel.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a prequel, so I'll try to be less spoilery because it's a newer game. So essentially, your main protagonist is this character, Arthur Morgan. He was another part of Dutch's gang, and you get to see him interact with John Marston. And one thing I will explain, because it kind of shows it a little bit early on, John Marston's not like this very badass protagonist. Like he's kind of like the youngin of the group. He's kind of like Arthur Morgan's this more and also the scars on his face. You get an answer to where he got those in the prequel. They also dive into the whole idea of why he can't swim in the game, because Arthur Morgan can swim in the prequel, and it jumps into that. And I will give that's a light spoiler. John Marston just can't swim. That's why that was their answer to that. They literally just said John Marston can't swim. And I found that such a simple, sweet answer to a mechanic they just didn't feel like implementing into a game. They're like, nope, dude couldn't swim. and I love it. And so going into it, you get to see kind of the origin of Dutch's gang, what kind of set up the domino effect for everything that happened in Red Dead Redemption. And there's a lot of cool little tidbits in there, and just kind of a shout-out thing to look out for when you start playing. And just since Halloween's around the corner, there is a vampire in Red Dead Redemption 2. There is a vampire. It's a little Easter egg character that you can find. There's a vampire, and I won't give you any spoilers. You can Google it if you want when you're playing the game to figure it out, but look into it, figure it out. It's pretty cool. Another interesting thing is there's so much more implemented into it. For one, the graphics are beautiful. Arthur Morgan's storyline is honestly really just so emotional. It's so full of different situations that you can be like, wow, that's very heart touching, or and there's even points where you're kind of like, wow, my guy's a dick. You're like, why am I playing an asshole like this? But then there's a very humanizing moments throughout the story that you're like, these are just people trying to get by. These are people just living the life that this is what they know. And it's really cool to get to see that portrayed that way. And it introduces other characters that were in the gang, and you get to actually be part of the full gang. And you get like your camp, your setup, and just seeing how these guys interact with each other is kind of like bittersweet, because you already know that something's going to happen. Because playing the first one, you already know their gang has been broken up, everyone went their separate ways, and you don't really know why in the first one. And getting to really it's almost really cool because once you beat the game, it's like you're not just beating a game. You are answering so many questions that got left unanswered in the very first one. And interesting enough for you, there's actually games that predate Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Revolver was the first kind of cowboy game they made. And I think there's a character, Jack Harlow. I can't remember if that was his name, but you can get his skin in Red Dead Online. And it's a callback to Red Dead Revolver. It was I don't know too much of it. I never played it. I want to look into it. Definitely want to check it out. It's hard for me to jump back into those older games sometimes. And honestly, there's moments where I was just playing Red Dead 2, where I didn't pay attention to the campaign or anything like that. I was just looking at the world around me. Their world building is phenomenal because you already know what the first one, even with the not that great of graphics, but it was pretty good for that time. They took everything that was good about Red Dead. I don't have a single complaint about Red Dead 2, honestly. Maybe they're online. I never played it. I heard some kind of about it, but the campaign, not a damn word to say about it other than check it out, play it. Anyone who hasn't played it yet, who tunes into this, play it. Now let's jump into the meat of this conversation because I would love to get you conversating about this too. We'll just say whatever happens at the end of Red Dead 2. Now, boom, cut to, I can't remember how many years later. I don't think it's that much time later, too, that Red Dead takes place after Red Dead 2. The timeline is not that far apart, I'm pretty sure. So we jump into this John Marston character. Do you remember how it starts off? I can't remember how the first one started off. Do you remember that? If not, it's fine. We can always...
No, I actually don't. I don't remember a lot of, I remember, bits and pieces of the campaign. I remember how it ended. But yeah, it's one of those ones that I just kind of I mean I could have looked up the plot of the story and just laid it out to a T. But at the same time, for people who haven't played it, I don't want to just spoil it and be like, oh yeah, this happens and then it finishes with this. So I didn't want to I mean, although it would have been nice to recall those memories, I just didn't want to, I guess, be that spoiler, even though this game has been out for 10 plus years, I think.
Okay, so I'll just tune in because I just looked it up because I'm willing to admit when I have a memory blurb and I forgot to write something down.
Oh yeah,
So I'll just give the first couple sentences, so it's not too spoiler. In 1911, the family of former outlaw John Marston is kidnapped by the Bureau of Investigation, Edgar Ross and Archer Fordham, who force him to hunt down his former gang members in exchange for his family's return. So that's kind of the general gist of that. I don't need to go into context. So if you've played it, you know. If you haven't, go figure it out. It's been out for a while. And just jump into it because it's fun. It's such a fun game. Even now, you can jump back into the old Red Dead and still enjoy it for what it's worth. Even if you can't get past the graphics, you can still fuck around with your lasso like you were talking about. I love tying people up and leaving them on the train tracks, just acting like an old-timey villain, just sitting there you're going to get ran over. And then I realized, the train just went through, so I got to sit there, waiting, just looking at my watch, fuck. You're going to die eventually, and then I'll pick them up and walk away because I'm frustrated, throw them on my horse, and then also you hear, I don't make a good train noise. That's a weird train cow. I don't know. So, that's all you get. So I hear this train coming, and I'm just scrambling. One time I just ran my horse into it because I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to waste my time. I'm just going to kill myself with them. Fuck them. And there's just a lot of things that can happen in that game with the glitches. And It was great. And so jumping into not just the mechanics of the game, let's jump into I'll get a little bit into the substance of the story if that's okay, without being too spoilery. Because like you said, that's one thing. I will give a light spoiler alert. So getting to watch John Marston hunt down his gang, especially thinking back to it now after having played Red Dead 2, because this is the thing that I was talking about. Once you beat Red Dead 2, you'll get these feelings as well. You're like, because it was kind of like I said, it was bittersweet. Because I recall having to hunt down, like I'll say, I think the first one was Bill Williamson. Not 100% on that. I'm pretty sure it was Bill Williamson. And which whoever named their kid that, you suck. William Williamson. Wow, real original there. He's probably had a drunkard for a dad. But which I mean, he's in Dutch's gang. Makes sense. And you just go to his fortress he's holding, and you have this little interaction with him. I think. Can't remember if you get shot or something. Probably. I don't know. John Marston never really had that much luck, as we all know. Who's played the game. He does his best, and he seems like a badass at moments, and other moments he just seems like such a vulnerable person. He's definitely susceptible to, like, being exploited. For example, his family. They're using his family against him, and, I mean, he's not the cold-hearted protagonist you're used to having in a game who'd be like, fuck him. Like, I got people to say. Like, a mainstream protagonist, like you would see in these less realistic video games, have probably just gone and killed those guys and ran off, like rode off into the sunset with his family. Which, as we know, he does what they want him to do. He goes through and he hunts down his former gang. And I won't get into the details of how he hunts them down, but I will say that, yes, he hunts them down. And as you're building this relationship with this character, and this is one of those things that I loved about this game, because I talked to you about this a lot, lore and mechanics, always. And I'd consider that not so much a mechanic, but like a good story device. The ending, the overall ending was beautiful to me, because it's so romanticized, it's so dramatic, but it's so heartbreaking, honestly, because you just sat there, because John Marston was out. And that's the thing you gotta remember. John Marston was out. He was done being a criminal. He just wanted some farmland with his wife and his son. He just wanted to live a good life, a simple life. He didn't want to live a good life, a simple life. He didn't care about being the richest dude in the West. He just wanted to live his life and repent for his sins in peace. But it's almost like cool, because like I keep coming back to this idea, because like I'll tell you, dude, check out Red Dead 2, because when you tie all this together, you see how he interacted with his gang. These are, because like for you, when you first start playing Red Dead, yeah, you get this idea that like they knew each other. Obviously, there's that old camaraderie, there's that brotherhood. But after playing Red Dead 2 and you just reflect on the things you did, it's almost like you chose family over family at that point. Like, yeah, you might have not been close with all of them, but they rode together. They rode together and they died together. That was their family, essentially. That's all they had. Dutch's gang was very interconnected. It felt like a family as you were playing with them. And, yeah, there were some characters in the gang who were just outright assholes. And Dutch kind of, like... So you get to see a younger Dutch. You get to see a more level-headed Dutch. Because the Dutch we see in the original Red Dead... He's kind of off his rocker. He's kind of like just loose cannon crazy. He's just kind of gone. But in Red Dead 2, he's a lot more humanized, and you see his decline. You see that mental decline. You see him essentially getting backed into a corner by life, and you see this rabid dog of a man lashing out at life. And so, getting to see that character progression on both ends is just such a good story, and it's so cool. It's like, for me, I love reading, I love movies, and like it's almost like getting to play it in a linear story that just runs smoothly. And if I use that word wrong, feel free to comment and make fun of me for it. But yeah, no, I love the whole overall story, and I would love to dive into it, but Red Dead 2 is fresh, and it is a prequel, so I don't want to jump into it too much, because it's still this brand new content that people can enjoy. But I will talk about one thing about Red Dead. Since Halloween is around the corner, Undead Nightmare. Undead Nightmare was interesting. It was fun. It was unique. It was weird because you didn't expect it with a cowboy game. And you know one thing that always kind of was weird to me? They did it with Red Dead, but they never did it with GTA.
Yeah.
Like, Like you
Yeah, I
think
guess I never
GTA
thought
would,
about that.
yeah, GTA would have probably like been a lot more, I don't know, more interesting because of the modern zombie game. But maybe that's why they did it. They wanted to do a different approach. You know, they're like, you know what, we got cowboys. What else could we do? Zombies? You know what? Fuck it. Just like throw him in there. And then, oh my god, dude, Seth. Seth. What? Because he's in the main storyline. Weird guy. For anyone who's played Red Dead, you know Seth. He's the weird little grave robber. He's that weird little wiry guy who just kind of seems like he's up to something. He's the reason Undead Nightmare pops off too. And
Really?
yeah, because he stole that totem, that little, I think it was like a totem or something. He took it out of a grave, and that's when zombies started to rise out of the ground. And no, so yeah, Undead Nightmare was it was a good storyline in itself. It was kind of like, it was hard to break away from your connection to these characters already as their main storyline, but like it almost makes me wonder, is like Undead Nightmare is canon in some way? Probably not at all. I would assume not, but because it does take place after the main storyline, I'm pretty sure. Well, not after, but like somewhere in the middle of the storyline. Because as we both know, I've been talking too much, so we're gonna throw the ball to you.
No, you know a lot more than I do, and I'm letting you fucking roll with it, man. I was just basically like, Red Dead is an iconic game that I as soon as we established this franchise Friday as a segment we were gonna do, it was a game that immediately popped into my head because it shaped my I guess my love for those open world concept games. Like back then, I played a little bit of Fallout 3 and then like New Vegas after that as well. But like Red Dead and like GTA were kind of the two open world games that you really had available to you at the time that were mainstream. I'm sure there were like smaller game developers that had their games that people didn't really, I guess, play or know of. But yeah, this was a game that I just more or less wanted to recall some memories and talk about some of my favorite moments from it. And I knew that you know more about the storyline, so I'm glad you knew a decent amount about it and you jumped into it. But yeah, I just wanted to recall some memories basically about it, and I had found some interesting facts about it too that I didn't know about until just a few
lay 'em on me.
ago. Well, for one, what I thought was kind of interesting, and it didn't surprise me, I guess, is that the game it said 5, almost 6 years to develop. That was one of the games that
Wow.
Rockstar spent the most time into, which is kind of interesting because you look at the Grand Theft Auto, like that whole storyline. You think that those games would take a really long time as well, and honestly, it could be because GTA 5 came out in like what 2013, 2014.
Fact check. I'm gonna figure this one out because that's a good question, and I would like to know the answer to that. And also, anyone who's tuning in,
14, but
anyone who's watching our podcasts, if this is the first episode you ever start with for some reason, because Halloween's around the corner, we're probably gonna drop Halloween in the title because we like views. I'm just kidding. We just we like creating good content and talking to each other. So I'm just gonna reiterate this. I've mentioned it in a prior video. We don't talk like we're the most educated people in the world. We don't need to. This is a conversation. We like talking about video games. We like to share that with everyone else. We like to create content that other people can enjoy. And we're always welcome to people throwing any comments, just saying whatever they want to say to us, and anything they'd like to see. Because that's what it is. We grew up together playing video games. I'm sure everyone has their friend, and if you don't have that friend, we can be that friend because we would love to share our memories with you and keep them alive through other people.
Amen, brother.
GTA 5 release date, September 17th, 2013. You are a mad genius, Collin.
Yeah, because I remember I was at that age where I wasn't old enough to quite get it myself, so I can't remember if I had my parents get it for me or if one of us was older, was 17. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, so yeah, that game took that long to make, but it makes you think that because that game came out in 2013, it's now 2020. Have they been making GTA 6 this whole time? So they're going on 7 years of making it. You know what I mean?
Very true. And who knows? Maybe they even started it before GTA 5.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's kind of where how I said this game took 5-6 years to make, and it's like, oh, that seems like a long time, but also there could be games out there that are a decade in the making that this creator's like, boom, we're releasing it in 2021. We've been working on it since 2010. Here you go. Like,
Well, and I also think that time span can like kind of relate to the idea that technology is constantly evolving. It's constantly getting better. Graphics cards, everything like that. Like the amount of processing strength machines have is getting stronger. So I can see these video game designers probably having to constantly adapt and change as they're creating these games because they're not sitting there looking at the latest content, especially if they're making this game and it's like 6 years in the making. They're either somehow they're ahead and they got these resources well before it even hits the market, or they're going to have to just sit there and keep revising and bettering their game to equate for, because like 6 years, like that's easily enough time for a new video game system to come out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so anyways, I would love to hear some more of your facts though.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on that too. It's kind of interesting with how that game took 5 years to make. Like how the technology that they had available to them when they started that game versus the end of that game, how did they like bridge that gap? You know what I mean? Like with their so if the game came, when did Red Dead even come out? Do you remember?
Red Dead? Oh, you know what? We're gonna do the fact check game again because I already have it still pulled up. Red Dead release date. I can't spell. That's for the fans. Just so you know, I'm not the most educated man in the world. But I pretend to be. Yeah, we are the dumb. All right, release date. Okay. Wow, I did not expect that. 2004, May 4th, 2004, first release.
That's when Red Dead came out?
Yep, 2004.
Holy pet.
It has been, you know what? Spoilers. Yeah. Full spoilers. If you haven't played a game in 16 years, I'm sorry, but you have grown up. And you can act like a mature adult by me spoiling this. He dies in the end. He gets shot by he gets blown away. Gets shot by like 18 guys. Like, it's awesome. He's just chilling at the barn. Yeah. And he just got done, like, he figures, like, oh, I did what they wanted me to do, you know, fucking Edgar Ross, that dick, and all these other agents also show up all fucking swagger to his barn looking for him, and he just opens the door because he just knows this is his last stand. It's so cool because there's a mechanic in Red Dead, if you haven't played it, which is called Deadeye, which essentially is, if you played any, like, other games made by Rockstar, Max Payne, they have kind of a similar mode in it, if I can recall. You slow down time, and you can register marks. If you played Fallout, you know it's like that.
I was just about to say, we talk about Fallout, it's a lot like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like VATS, and so you can like ping marks, and it's like little red X's. And dude, I can't tell you how many times I tried to kill every one of those fucking dudes. I was like, I'm not going down like this. I love John Marston. I'm not gonna let him die. You weren't taking my protagonist from me. Fuck you. And I would just sit there and I just keep doing it over and over, trying to get all the red X's ever. Can't do it. Maybe someone could do it. Maybe someone hacked it, and they're like, "Yep." I would love to see what would have happened if you hacked the game and you killed everyone. Would you still just die?
Yeah, all of a sudden everybody drops, and then this stray bullet comes from a guy who's like half a mile away. Like, nope.
He's like a sniper in the background with the rolling block rifle. If you remember, that's the sniper rifle in that game. The rolling block rifle. He's in the background. It's like, oh, you killed all those guys, huh? Maybe I shouldn't shoot at you. Like, that guy's scary. But no, and yeah, it was a phenomenal ending. It was bittersweet because he did what they asked him to do. But then John's son comes into the picture, Jack, which again, you know, in the West,
that's who you play as after he dies, right? For the rest of the campaign.
And because he spent his whole time trying to tell his son not to be like him. Guess what his son ends up doing? He's not exactly like him. He understands to a degree, but like he's still like him. He hunts down the agents who killed his father, and it's cool because it's almost like the taking on the sins of the father story arc, and I love those kind of story arcs because it's a good way to flesh out a character. It's a good way to set up another character, and if they ever do want to create a sequel to Red Dead, they now have this protagonist they can work with, and And it fits perfectly. They can just continue that story seamlessly, and it will flow together like. And oh man, I get so hyped talking about Red Dead because, like I said, Red Dead is such a great game, and 16 years.
That's
this
nuts.
This game came out when I was what, 8?
Yeah, born in '96. Yeah, we've been 8-9 years old.
There's no really. Okay, so my previous statement about kids playing mature games, yeah, fuck that guy who said that in that video because I enjoyed playing those games. But to be fair, I wasn't one of those kids in COD screaming at everybody. I was too busy being a cowboy in Red Dead.
And that's the thing is those games like that, obviously there's vulgar language, there's blood, there's gore, there's a lot of times sexual and drug references. So like obviously it's not suitable for an 8-year-old to play, but also we can understand, we can play through the campaign, we can enjoy that game at a different level than someone our age. So I mean, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, every kid should play a mature rating game because obviously they're going to be exposed to stuff that they shouldn't at that age. But at the same time, if that's something that I guess.
Okay, no. It's saying initial release date is 2010. Okay, I'm having information issues here. I'm going to correct this because that makes more sense. Why is it saying first release date for Red Dead?
When you said 2004,
yeah, no,
like,
that doesn't make sense because I was older than that. So Red Dead is a series of Western theme. That's why. Red Dead Revolver, you slippery little bastard. You got yourself into our fucking podcast. Okay, because the Red Dead Revolver came out. So let me correct myself. Like I already established, not the smartest guy in the world. But look we caught our own mistake. But yes, 2010. And you know what? I don't care. I'll still spoil it because that's 10 years of my life that I still managed to play Red Dead. If you haven't played it yet, well, tough shit. The spoilers are already in. Okay, but I kind of want to break this down. So Red Dead Revolver is the first entry in the series released for PlayStation 2 and Xbox in 2004. Set in the 1880s American Old West, follows Red Harlow, not Jack Harlow. Red Harlow. I got Jack mixed up because of John's son. But yeah, Red Harlow, as he uncovers the plot that killed his parents and exacts revenge on those responsible. I'm going to have to go back and play this. I mean, it's old, 04, but still, like, if it predates
Xbox, but that is Xbox One reverse compatible all the way?
Yes, it is.
Oh god.
There's an Xbox One game I play. Recommendation for anyone who likes a fun, family-friendly game with terrible graphics. Fusion Frenzy. It's on the Xbox Game Pass. You can have up to 4 players, I think. You're all different colored. I know this is a Red Dead podcast, but I'm always going to give shout out to games I've appreciated. I grew up playing this, and so it's like a bunch of different like kind of like challenges you can do. One of my favorite ones, you can like roll around in balls and try to knock each other off this platform. Very basic concept. They're like just different family games, but very fun. But yes, as I will correct and amend what I said earlier, it came out in 2010. So, and still, yeah. So 2010, and
even 10 years later, that's still like a relevant.
Yeah,
I guarantee it's a game you jump into. There's still people out in the online. Even still, people go through the campaign on it.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure there's still people who go back and predate, like, especially after Red Dead 2 came out, with it being a prequel. I guarantee that made so many people rush back to the original Red Dead just to continue the story of the prequel, just to see how it flows with the prequel. And I feel like it probably lines up very well. Maybe there's like little continuity errors here and there, but ultimately it's just how the game, like, that's just how gaming goes, especially if you're creating a prequel. Like, when did Red Dead 2 come out?
Either 2018 or 2019.
I was going to say 2018, but, you know, I'm not the best with dates, so as I've firmly established. Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, while you're looking that up, it ties into Undead Nightmare.
2018
is the Easter egg of hunting on Bigfoot.
Yes, I love that, because that's actually a shout out to GTA too, because in GTA there was a myth that there was a Sasquatch in it, so they implemented that into Undead Nightmare because the fan base is like, I swear there's a Sasquatch in Grand Theft Auto, and they're like, okay, well, guess what, there is one in Red Dead now, so you go fuck yourself and stop talking about this thing that doesn't exist. And also, there is a lot of Easter eggs. I think there's some that refer to aliens. There's some in 2 that refer to aliens. There's a robot. Like, there's some weird shit you can see. Just like, you know how Rockstar is. They like to put these weird little things in. Like, I can't remember if it was Liberty or Grand Theft Auto 4 or 5, but you can get inside the Statue of Liberty, and you can see a beating heart that's chained up. and it's I actually don't know if it's beating, but it's like it's a real heart. It's inside the Statue of Liberty. It's just chained up. Weird, right?
Yeah,
But
what the heck?
yeah, so yeah, Rockstar is very well known for their weird little Easter eggs. I can shout out one little thing: the Mount Chiliad conspiracy. I'm sure if there's anyone who tunes into this that's a Rockstar fanatic, they'll know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like, so with Mount Chiliad, there's a bunch of like weird symbols that pertain to it, and there's like a UFO that that can be seen over there. It's a big alien thing, little Easter egg that's going on. But yes, with Red Dead, Undead Nightmare brought in a lot of fun content, including the Sasquatch. You could hunt chupacabras. Can't remember quite what else there was in terms of creature. You could ride one of the horses of the apocalypse. Couldn't get all four, actually. I thought you could get all four horses of the apocalypse. You could get war, death, pestilence, and famine.
I don't think I ever got all of them, so I don't remember what the exact number is.
Oh, that's fine. I'm pretty sure there's four of them. It's war, death, pestilence, and famine. And I like how like it just like in the main storyline. I love in the map they build it into Mexico too. That is one of the first times I think I've seen a game country hop, and like this so seamlessly too. It's not like a loading screen. You just ride into Mexico, you know. And
yeah, it's a part of the map because there's the plains, there's Mexico, and then there's
mountains to the north.
Mountains, yeah. Okay. But another one thing I wanted to bring up, and I thought was really cool, and it would have made this game that much more badass, is apparently Clint Eastwood was this close to being the voice of John Marston.
No.
Yeah. Apparently, before the game came out, there was like a lot of
say that.
I know, dude. It disappointed
me. The spaghetti Western god himself, man. Like. You shouldn't have told me that.
I saw that and I'm like, oh, that's disappointing. But I'm like, I gotta bring it up because it's the first time I heard about it. But
no, that makes me actually want to look up right now. I'm gonna see if there's any Clint Eastwood related Easter eggs in Red Dead. There's got to be like a poster or something, or like in a saloon, like, you know what I mean. With how much of a presence he has in Western culture, and given that there's two games that Rockstar's had revolved around like that culture, you think that he's got to have some presence in it. Oh, definitely. I'm pulling up the Red Dead wiki fandom right now just to see if I can find anything. Which awesome source for information if anyone's looking to be like us and quickly Google stuff and try to act like we know stuff.
The last thing I wanted to touch on, which was it's more of a personal takeaway than anything out of this game, is that Red Dead taught me how to play poker.
Yes, actually, it actually taught me how to play. Because I think blackjack was in it as well, wasn't it?
Blackjack and poker were both.
Yeah, it taught me how to play blackjack because I was that stupid. I didn't know any card games. So here's a couple of like fun little things. In Undead Nightmare, one of the achievements requires you to kill a chupacabra. The achievement is titled Chupa Thingy. This is likely a reference to the web series Red vs. Blue, which ties into, guess what, one of our prior episodes where we talked about Red vs. Blue.
It all comes full circle.
It does. It always comes full circle. Life is a circle. Circle. That was not a circle. That was like me going like...
A bit more of a hexagon, but...
Yeah, right. Too many sides on that circle. How many are there supposed to be? None. But yes, so there's a lot of fun Easter eggs. I don't want to get into too spoilery about all of them because I encourage people to go seek them out for yourself. And honestly, if you find something that's not even like, I prefer to go and find what I can in games before I start Googling stuff, because what's the fun of that? You know what I mean? Like, once I feel like I've seen everything I could just like have seen, then I go back in. Then I'm like, all right, let's go see what other people found because I want to find it in the game myself. Mm-hmm. And so like I encourage anyone who plays any of these big open world sandbox games with these awesome storylines, this great mechanic, take your time. Yeah, like if you beat the game, you've seen everything there's to see. Yeah, you go do your speedruns, man. I don't care if you're somehow like done in 30 minutes. You are a master. That's awesome.
Kind of like us with Fallout right now.
Exactly. Okay, for anyone watches this episode, we just started new characters on Fallout 76 because guess what? The Brotherhood of Steel is coming to 76, and it's going to be awesome. But I think it's called like the Steel Dawn or something like that. It's going on in the public test server online right now on PC, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, there's a lot of cool events going on right now. It's bombs drop day events or week events, whatever. Double XP. There's daily ops. There's increased rewards for that. There is just a whole bunch of new plans for anyone who hasn't played Fallout 76. Because if you have played maybe in the last 5 months, like 5 months predating before these new updates, you know the economy crashed in Fallout. You know, because the whole gift scandal, everyone was giving out these large gift box presents. Everyone had like 1 billion caps, and no one was selling anything because there's no need to sell anything anymore. But the economy is back on track. People are selling stuff again. And I'm sure there was still people going into the Fallout wiki and blogs and stuff like that, and still trading that way. But no, the overall economy just was tanked. It was awful. It was cool at first because, and I'll admit, even I got my hands on some of those presents. I was like, ooh, what's this? And I just like, I was like, money. Yeah. So I was like, and I was like, wait a second, this is too good to be true. Next thing you know, everyone has them. It's like. There it is.
Yeah, what you thought was like, oh, this is so cool. This is such a rare thing, and you find out that everybody has them, and that some people have millions of them, and you're just like, oh.
Which puts into context. It's like it's funny how people think like that. It's like, and even ourselves, it's like, wow, this is so cool because it's my advantage. And now it calls back into the question: is that a cheat or an exploit? And I think I referred back to this maybe when we talked about exploiting, about how we did do this, and I do feel guilt about playing into it. But also at the same time, I don't, because I know every motherfucker did. And you say you didn't, you can out off your high horse.
Everybody who's played that game has either was a part of that cheat and made them, or they had access to them because they knew somebody who knew how to make them.
Exactly.
So either you physically have them, or you decided, nah, I don't want any part of that. But you knew that you could partake in it if you wanted to.
Exactly. Three out of four vendors. If you check them out, you'll see plans from those boxes because you know everyone's just sitting on those with caps. And now that the new player base is coming in with the new updates and everything like that, it's not so bad now. And there's one new thing. I don't know how you feel about it. I was telling you about how I feel about it. I kind of have good and bad things to say about it. They changed the leveling system, or the scaling system. Sorry, with enemies, with the NPCs, these characters, these monsters you're fighting, these mobs. They scale to your level now. Instead of like you going into like say a vault with one of your buddies, like Vault 94 or something. And they're like fighting level 60 to 80 creatures, and you are like level 10. Now they'll scale to your level. I personally am not the biggest fan of it. It has its benefits. It also has its negatives, in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to look at your eyes for a second. For anyone who doesn't know us, we're really weird. Hope you like it. But
yeah, we're literally just anytime soon.
We were literally just hyping up about how we both wore red on, like, not intentionally for this day, because we're like, oh, Red Dead.
I was wearing this shirt today, and I was like, you know what? I've worn a hat in every single episode except for our pilot episode. And I'm like, I got to go find a hat. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, none of them really go with it. So I'm like, oh, I'll just go red with my red shirt. So
yeah, I can't remember if I wore a hat in every episode. Oh, yeah, completely unintentional. I literally changed my shirt.
Bandana, like 2 episodes
ago. Yeah. Yes. All right. So I think we kind of covered our bases for everybody.
That's about it for me.
Who watches this? So stay tuned. We got big things coming. Look forward to
a lot of content next week.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot coming out. It's gonna be a fun time. We're gonna probably be talking a lot about Halloween, as everyone else will be, but we're gonna have our own interesting twist on it. We're gonna be goofy, silly, lovable. Just kidding. You probably all hate us.
And going back a couple episodes, for those who remember, we had a few of our friends, Lake, Champagne, and Pop on. We're gonna be implementing them into an episode coming up as well. It's gonna involve trivia, so I'll just leave it at that, and I'll kind of let you guys wrap your head around that, but
I'll throw one more hint in for people tuning in. For anyone who knows, I don't know if we mentioned it before, we're in the Midwest. We're Wisconsinites, the best. As you can read on his hat, I just realized. Yeah. As you can tell, we're not very attentive.
I think it's backwards, though.
Oh, is it? Well, let's just say it backwards then. Nisnoxville. Yeah, we're from Nisnoxville.
Uh,
We're not. It sounds like I'm rewinding myself. But yeah, so we're from Wisconsin, so that's gonna play heavy into it because Wisconsinites, we know how to party. Sometimes some people say a little too much, but
we're proud of it.
oh, 100%. So yeah, you'll tune in next week, and
Moving forward with these franchise Fridays as well. Feel free to drop in the comments any franchises you guys want us to jump into, whether it's one that we've explored or not. Obviously, if it's one we haven't, it'd probably give it a couple weeks so we can each try out the game and get our opinion of it. If it's one that we both played and just never thought of, cool.
Oh yeah, we are always open to playing new games. We are not video game like ignorant assholes. We expand to every realm of video gaming. I've played side scrollers. I played MOBs. See, I'm already brain blanking. I played MMORPGs. I played strategy games. I played so many different types of games that if there's anything you want us to talk about and touch on, or in the up and coming games that, like, for one, I think I've been thinking about this. We should probably do an episode on like some of these newer games that are going to be coming out. Just kind of like a predate, like, oh, we're going to be getting this. We're going to do it before episode. Talk about what we're hyped about, and then once we play it, we'll talk about how we felt about playing it, if it lived up to what we wanted versus what it is. And also, Friendly Fire will be coming eventually. I don't know if it's going to be this month, maybe in the next couple months, because it's going to get cold here, and we're all going to get pissy anyway, so we'll have a fun time making fun of each other.
For sure.
But with that, signing off.
All right, see you, man.
Peace. Circle.